Hello everyone, and welcome to video number 7 of our PHP web developing tutorials. In this video we're going to cover arrays, and we're going to try to speed up things a little bit. That last video was a little long, and I'm going to shorten them down, talk a little less, and do a little bit more code, and hopefully you'll be able to fill in the blanks as you go. In our code, let's go ahead and delete everything. Let's create an array, and by an array, what I mean is a collection of variables, pretty much a collection of values, either one. And our first type of array we're going to look at is a numerically indexed array. So let's create an array, and to create an array we can just give it a variable name. We'll call this one ARR, just for array for short, and then we can set that equal to an array and give it some values. We'll say our values are going to be orange, red, blue, green, for instance. And our array, this index or numerically indexed array, is simply a bunch of different values, and we separate those by commas. And we've got, these are string values, they're quoted. We could also use a number in here. We could also throw a number inside this and say 5 is our value there. So the one thing I want to point out about this is how do we address those? How do we do stuff with those array values? So our array values have a 0 index, which means that they start with 0, and every value has a numeric index starting with 0 on through to whatever length the array is. So if we echo array and then brackets 0, we have the 0 in square brackets, and we save that, and we'll look at that echoes the value at the first position, which is the 0 index of this array, which is orange. If we change this to 3, we get the word green, which if we look at this is 0, 1, 2, 3, our third index, or our index number 3, I should say. Not that's the fourth indexed value, but it's the number 3 index, so that green's there. If we echo 4, we get the number 5. And if we do 5, which is not in the bounds, we get an error. It says undefined offset. So our array is of length. It has a length of 5 at the moment because there's 5 values inside of it. But the index of 5, which is actually on a 0 index, is actually the 6th value. Since there's nothing there, it's giving us an error. Okay, that's one way to create arrays with index values such as that. Another way is an associative array, which we can say associative array here. We'll just say ASSOC, and in this array we'll have the word color, and we'll have a equals sign and a greater than sign, which kind of looks like a arrow. That's the point, the note, or the thing to note about that. It's an arrow. So the word color points to, let's say, red, and then we can say height can point to a value of 4.5, something simple. And width, we can say, points to the value of 2.1. Now, this is just showing you how the associative array works. So it's addressed the same way. We can say echo associative array. Now, if we did the same thing and say the index of 0, we don't get the value because it's the associative array part. What we can say is give us the color here, okay, and that'll echo red. So this is, in this associative array, we're actually saying the color's red. So anytime you want to find out what the color is, you can just address it this way. So this is kind of like a key and a value pair. So we can also echo, well, let's echo the width, and that's going to echo the width, which is pointing to 2.1. So that's an associative array. You can use those are lists or associative. You can look at them sort of like dictionaries as well. You can look up the value of something based on the key. We also have multi-dimensional arrays. So these arrays could actually contain arrays. So we could say inside of our colors here, inside of our colors, we could actually have just for instance, we could say colors and point it to the array of colors. So now, if I echo, this is going to cause some strange things to happen, but if I echo associative array colors, since that's the end of it, that's going to actually give us the word array because it's an array. So if we say colors index 0, we'll actually get the word orange because the associative array, the colors points to the array of array, ARR, and we're getting the 0 index of this array, which is orange. Some fun things to do with arrays. That's all we're going to cover in this video with arrays. There's a lot of fun things that we can do with arrays, and I'm going to show you those later in loops and things like that. So this is just giving you, well, before I end this, let's look at another way that we can assign variables or assign values to these arrays. Even after you've declared that array, you can add something like, we could say something silly, we could say language as another value inside that array, and we could say English. Okay, so this is adding an index to that array of language. Now if let's take this echo statement out. This is all I'm going to show here, but I wanted to show that you could assign values to it. Instead of having to use the word array, you could actually explicitly say this value is set to this. So our language is equal to English. So if we echo the associated array's language key, we get English. We can also print the array and look at its structure a little bit better. And it doesn't show up very well here. Let me clear out this echo statement here. This print R is print raw, and it prints the raw values. This shows it's an array, and it shows you all the different values inside that array. If we looked at the source, we actually see it a little bit better. The array, the color is red, the height is 4.5, the width is 2.1. The colors is an array, and then it's got the 0 index is orange, and the 1 index is red, and then we've got the language also on this array. That's pretty cool to see. We can also use something called a var dump. We use a var dump of this array, and it shows us a little bit more information about the array. We can look at that on the page here. You have the length of the string as well. The string's length is 6, orange, and string length of 3. But that's 2 ways that you can debug arrays, and then you also have different ways to assign it. And you can come down here actually and reassign one of the values inside that array as well with that same nomenclature. We could say color is equal to this, the array variable and the second index value of that. So we could say that. Now if we echo or print R, the associative array, like that, you see our color is now blue, which is the second value. The second index of that ARR array is blue, so our color is now blue. Some little fun with arrays. Next video, we're going to cover loops, and there's 4 of those we're going to go over, so that'll be interesting. You'll see how you can do things more than one time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe.